Boom, you looking for this?
Welcome back to BoomShot. I'm Kel. This is Colby.
Yes, sir.
We got back from watching Thunderbolts. I think it was on Thursday.
Yeah, and I think we are back.
Yeah, I think we are back. Not to spoil the review, but also spoilers, because we're about to talk about some things that happened in this movie. But long story short, we like it. But let's go ahead and jump right into the video starting now. All right, man. What you think about it?
I thought it was great, dude.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
It was definitely different than what we've seen from like a typical MCU movie.
Mm-hmm.
There was no big battle at the end.
Mm-hmm.
We can get into that later, but I like how it was different, but it's still like really the main focus of this movie was the theme, not so much a big battle at the end.
Yeah,
there was no big battle. It was a group hug
mm-hmm.
at the end that kind of was the resolution.
Yeah, which we predicted. So
yeah.
Not the group hug, but how they would beat the Void.
That's a good point, dude. Because when we were watching these trailers, just knowing Sentry and the Void, we were like, they're either all gonna die or they're just gonna have to reason with him.
Yeah,
and that's why when we were making the thumbnail for the last video, I put the Void we've come to bargain or Sentry we've come to bargain because you said I think it's like Dormammu 2.0.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. I mean, at the end of the day, the movie was really good. I liked it. I compared it to Inside Out 2. That's kind of it. Kind of felt like Inside Out 2. Like most of the movie happened, or most of the movie centers around Bob's brain. You know, like his mind. And I think that was the most heartbreaking part. Was like whenever so basically at the end of the movie, or like toward the end of the movie, the Void takes over after getting kill switched by Valentina. So Sentry dies technically, and Void rises, and he like that thing where he does where he just like makes people like into shadows or whatever. He doesn't kill them; it just sends them to like the Void, their own Void. But they kind of foreshadowed that in the movie the whole time, that like every time somebody like touched Bob's hand or something like that, it would send them to their own nightmare scenario, like to all their worst dream sequences or realities that happen. But anyway, toward the end of the movie, the Void's taking over, and like we see that shot in the trailer of Yelena like walking into the Void, and we're like, dang, she just killed herself. Like she just like she committed dive, but she walked in there and had to fight through her own worst memories to find Bob and his like. Yeah, it was really interesting. Every time there was a mirror, she could look in the mirror and see cool. Bob sitting in like some of his worst nightmares, broke through. But I don't know. I think it was a really interesting. There wasn't like a big battle at the end, like no slapstick, you know, buildings collapsing and everything like that. It was very mental movie. Yeah,
and I think it definitely worked for me. In order, I feel like in order for you to like this movie, it has to work for you, because if you're expecting a big, you know, action sequence at the end, that just really doesn't happen. But if you connect with the movie earlier on, leading up to that, it's the best thing they could have done, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
And it connected with me, so that whole end sequence, you know, it was really heartfelt. Like, so I think they did a good job with it, because if they didn't connect with you in the movie prior to the group hug, and then they just hugged them, you know, I feel like we've seen that before, where you know, the bad guy becomes good just out of nowhere. And this is different because they reason with Bob, kind of like we predicted, to overcome the Void.
Yeah, and Bob is the only one who could beat the Void. Like, we see that whole dream sequence, and the entire movie, like, it built up the entire movie. Like, Valentina sends them all to this place for this company that she works for. And she's like, has Yelena targeting Taskmaster and blah, 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 so on and so forth. Basically so that none of them are left standing. All of them are going to die. And they accidentally wake Bob up in that facility. But like the whole time, every time he makes a mistake, he's like, I'm not good enough. Like, I always make everything worse or something like that. Like, he's always saying something. And then when you get to the dream sequence, you see like that moment where he stands up for his mom as his dad was like abusing her. And she says, you always make everything worse. And I was just thinking, I was like it wasn't like he was a good guy turned bad turned good. It was like he's always a good guy with this side of him that he can't, like, he almost can't control.
Yeah, that was really good.
And it was the teamwork of a bunch of people who can relate to the broken pasts and histories and all the wrong decisions that they've ever made, that was able to come next to him and be like, hey man, we're right here. We're not leaving your side.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and really the other highlight of the movie for me was Florence Pugh's character, Yelena Belova. I feel like she was the other main character. She was really the main character to me. And then Bob, kind of both the main protagonist. And really the turning point of the movie is when she's kind of like giving into the void a little in the darkness and the loneliness. And her dad is the one that kind of brings her back with that speech. And that was really powerful too. And that's when she decides to go into the void and save the day.
Yeah.
And so that's really when I locked in.
Dude, I think I locked in whenever, that moment and the void takes over and then like he knocks over the crane and the helicopter and like everything like that. And they're like, you see every one of them come back because they all split
I got chills,
up.
bro. That was sick.
Yeah, because they try to take down the Sentry. They confront Sentry and Valentina. Basically, Sentry was somebody that Valentina made to be her own like personal Earth's mightiest hero, and she had a kill switch involved. But they like try to take him down, and dude, I'm hard pressed to believe that anybody could. They try to take him down. They realize that they can't. They all just go their separate ways and kind of move on.
Yeah.
And one by one, each of them comes back and saves like a civilian.
That was really cool. I like that.
It was really sick. And then, dude, the darkest part of the movie, because at the time we didn't know this, but the darkest part of the movie is John Walker saves somebody, like a girl from getting crushed by a rock, or no, it was
Red Guardian.
A Red Guardian saves a girl from getting crushed by a rock, and he's like basically giving her like patting her on the shoulder or whatever, and then you just see her evaporate into a shadow, just like that, and I was like, I just did not see that coming, dude. But it was, dude, it was good, man. I think it was a nice switch up for Marvel. It wasn't. I'm glad we didn't have like a huge battle. Like it didn't feel like every other Marvel movie I've watched.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would say the only couple of nitpicks I had was I feel like there was a couple of logical leaps that the viewer had to make, but I don't really know if that's a fault of this movie. I think it's more so just like the MCU until now hasn't really been connected.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that we're kind of have to fill in the gaps as a viewer. Whereas I wish that could have been done, a little bit more beforehand with other movies or shows.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And I think Captain America, I'm glad it came out before this because we got to see a little bit with catching up with Bucky and then towards the end with, kind of the feud with the Avengers. We got to see Bucky kind of becoming a congressman, but that was really all that connected to this movie.
Yeah.
And we got references to Red Hulk.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It did feel like felt like that movie mattered in the long run. Yeah. Like, and it hasn't felt like, it feels like I could go watch the Marvels, or I could have skipped the Marvels and known exactly what was going on in this movie.
It's really, those are the only two in, like, within the past, like, 10 movies that really connect.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my only nitpick, and I think, that's why I say we're back. I think, like, from Captain America and this moving on, it's all going to connect, because we saw with the post-credit scene, like, Fantastic Four, they're here.
Yeah, and I think that almost the even bigger reveal is, honestly, this makes for an interesting plot, I think, because the Fantastic Four arrive, there's a space threat, but also you see the competing Avengers teams. Yeah. Because we obviously saw in the Brave New World that Sam is trying to recreate the Avengers and feels the need to do that. And then now, because of the way that the movie ended, Valentina basically branded the Thunderbolts as the new Avengers. And so New Avengers plus Bob, who doesn't really fight right now. I guess why he gets some counseling. But so like we see two competing Avengers teams, and the first, I think it's going to be the first one to get the Fantastic Four is going to be considered the Avengers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Who can recruit these extra dimensional heroes first?
Yeah, dude, that was just so cool. How like we had like a 2-minute build up in the post credit scene, and then they're like, "Oh, we need to check on this," and they kind of teased us at first when they said space, and then John Walker was like, "What do you mean we're running out of space?"
Yeah, we live in a whole tower. They live in Avengers Tower. I think the hard part for me is like if this. I don't think this is going to continue to be the new Avengers team. Obviously, I'm not convinced of that. But it just reminds me of how much sauce the old Avengers team had, dude. Yeah. Dude, Iron Man, I mean, I guess Iron Man makes up for all the sauce, but, like, he had, like, dude, he was just so goated, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I want to see more of these teams. Like, we saw, really, of the other Avengers, all we know is Captain America and Falcon. right now. I mean, I'm assuming they have more recruits with the time jump 14 months later. But before Doomsday, and maybe Doomsday, like the beginning of it, will focus on these two teams and on Earth. But I just want to see more of their feud and like more kind of like a Civil War type of movie in between. I think would be really cool.
Yeah, and Doomsday might start out like that, where it's like team versus team versus team, but then they have to realize, kind of like, not to be like this, but kind of the plot of Batman vs Superman, where they were like their own individual factions, but then they had to come together at the very end. I could actually, I could see that being the case, where like kind of like a conquest. Stand ready for my right. Like like Dr. Doom shows up, and then it's like, oh crap,
they gotta lock in.
Yeah, they gotta lock in. I really do think this. I don't know. It makes for an interesting. It does make for an interesting thing, because my personal opinion is that I think they're gonna have to. I think it's gonna be who can recruit the Fantastic Four first. I feel like that's because in their mind it's not like, oh, these are new heroes. Like, let's bring them into the world. It's, oh, these are new heroes. Which Avengers team is official enough to recruit the extra dimensional heroes?
Yeah, because it was just so cool, dude. Like, we see the spaceship coming in, they're like, yo, what is this? And then it turns over and you see the logo. And to me, like, in my head, the first thing I thought was, here they come, dude. Like, here's the smartest man on Earth now, most likely. When he gets here, everybody's going to be like, yo, what is this? And then he's going to come out and be like, yo, we just came from a different universe.
Yeah,
like, we're here.
Or, it might be the Fantastic Four versus the New Avengers versus Sam's Avengers. That
would be crazy, dude.
And then you got some X-Men thrown in there, maybe.
Because you got to think about what the Fantastic Four are coming from. We're assuming their world just got destroyed. So they're probably on edge protecting their son. Yeah. And when they come to our Earth, maybe they have to, like, kind of fend off people, or they're just, kind of aggressive.
Dude, that would be crazy. Like, but, okay, and so I think this is where I come back to now. Like, this may not have much to do with it, but like Captain America: Brave New World felt like a standard Marvel movie. Thunderbolts doesn't, and I don't think Fantastic Four will feel like a standard. Like, they feel like they have the same kind of art, like the same kind of like film style. Like, they like, I feel like Thunderbolts could hop into Fantastic Four world and not have a problem. Yeah. Like, so I'm just interested to see how like all that will work whenever they combine the kind of the universe. Yeah. And
it's interesting because the Russo brothers directed that post-credit scene.
Really?
Yeah, I saw that after we watched the movie. I was kind of looking into it, and they directed that 3-minute post-credit scene. So I they get some flack, but they haven't missed with the Marvel movie. They haven't missed, and I'm excited to see what they'll do. I think they'll nail it.
Yeah, I'm hoping, dude. That's it. I think I'm kind of on the opinion of Doomsday. Like, it's either gonna be the worst movie ever made, or it's gonna be really, really good.
Dude, I'm feeling a lot better after watching Thunderbolts. I feel a lot better about it.
Yeah, I think Thunderbolts overall was a solid experience. Like, I think I would give it probably, like, I don't know, what would you give it? I think I'm at like an 8.5. That's kind of where I'm at.
And Maddie gave it a 5 out of 5. Which I guess equates to a 10 out of 10. So she really liked it, and I feel like audiences in general have really loved it too. I'm in the same boat.
It's one of the highest Marvel movies ever rated. I think for me, the score was actually really good. I was kind of shocked by that. The score was pretty good. But I also think it was the fact that it took itself seriously when it needed to. And you don't see that in Marvel movies a lot these days, where it's like either it takes itself way too seriously, or like it doesn't have, or it has way too much comedy. And this movie, like, whenever it needed to get serious, it got serious, and I appreciated that.
And also, another standout to me, I hope Ghost gets more time in the future. I think she's a great character. Taskmaster.
R.I.P. 2 seconds of screen time.
Literally a cameo in this movie. But John Walker, I think, was a standout. His emotional beats landed with me, and I think the team as a whole and as individuals can really be characters that we've needed in the MCU, that people can relate to and root for. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of the thing, is like you feel like you're rooting for a villain at first, but by the end, you do recognize that all of them in their own right have become heroes. Like, and all of them, in a way, like I guess like Ghost was never a bad person. Like, she was just struggling with her own like physical ailment, and then
she was like made to be into a weapon.
So and then Winter Soldier was mind controlled. Like, you can't change that. And then John Walker, he wanted to be a hero too. Like, he desperately wanted to be a hero too much, and that was his problem.
Yeah, he went too far.
But, like, Yelena and I guess Red Guardian are the only ones where it's like, I don't know much about Red Guardian, but, like, Yelena, like, she was also kind of mind controlled in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
And Bob's not a bad dude. Like, he just has a dark side to him. So, like, all of them are, in their own right, have always wanted to be heroes, but in a world full of goody two-shoes before, you know, like Captain America, like, they didn't get that chance.
Yeah.
Because they were always looked down on.
Yeah.
So now, I guess the MCU's in a different phase.
Yeah, and I'm here for it, dude. I think, I feel really good. Like, after Deadpool and Wolverine, I thought it was a good movie, but it didn't connect to anything.
No, it didn't.
Like we thought it was going to. And so after watching this, it was a good movie, and I can see the lines connecting.
Yeah, and I used to think that Marvel needed less of that. But I think upon further examination, I think it needs way more.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think having a standalone story that didn't connect to the broader MCU was actually, like, really appealing. But then it kind of muddied everything, so you didn't know who was doing what and, like, how this was going to connect to the broad, like, MCU timeline. Like, and it's almost like if you have a separate MCU movie, it has to take place in a different dimension, like the Fantastic Four. Even that's going to connect, but, like, you can get away with it. That's kind of where I'm at. I just hope that I hope they continue down the path, and we'll see if Doomsday can stick the landing, man. It's got some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, it does for sure.
But anyway, let us know what you guys think. Did you like Thunderbolts, and thank you guys for watching? See you in the next one.